Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, I'll be breaking down the potential for a huge cool down across the United States as we go into next week. This would be one of the largest pattern changes that we've seen all winter long, bringing a lot of rainfall with cooler weather that should be more like fall. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, but let's begin with what's happening across the United States today. And we'll first begin with the northern plains, and that's actually an area that we've been watching a little bit for a trough that has been moving through parts of southern Canada, and this is bringing some showers and storms. It's going to be something to watch out for as it moves off to the east, but overall it shouldn't make many impacts to the United States. There are a couple of showers, maybe an isolated storm across parts of the northern plains this evening, but again, nothing too concerning right now. Over in the east coast, it's a bit more active over here. We do have a low pressure system centered over Ohio that is bringing some showers and even a few storms to parts of the east coast, like the mid-Atlantic region, and as well as the northeast. And then back down in the southeast United States, a frontal boundary that's stationary has been bringing relentless showers and storms to Florida for the last several days, and it's really not going to move out anytime soon. It'll stay there for at least the next day or two as it continues to very slowly move down to the south, but showers and storms are expected to continue down that direction. In the central United States, high pressure is dominating. Our omega block pattern is returning, which is essentially called the quote-unquote death ridge. It basically brings a lot of heat as well as very dry conditions for an extended period of time, and we'll be talking about more on that here in just a moment. And then on the west coast of the United States, overall nothing too crazy there. A couple showers, maybe a storm in the northwest United States and the Pacific Northwest. Otherwise, California is pretty much dry as a bone right now as that atmospheric river has now moved off to the east. Let's talk more about the weather pattern that is coming to the United States over the next several days, and we'll take a look at our jet stream. That's what's really causing the weather patterns across the United States. Our jet stream right now is lifted well off to the north, which is allowing this heat dome to really build in the southern tier of the United States. This is a clockwise spin, which does mean we're going to be seeing drier weather and as well as, unfortunately, warmer weather across much of the United States. Back over to the east of this, we do have a trough that's pretty weak. It's an upper level disturbance that's associated with the jet stream and is also moving off to the east, and that is going to cause some showers, maybe a couple storms in the northeast over the next couple days, and there will be a chance for tomorrow for upwards of 3 to 5 inches of rain. And that would include areas like New Jersey, New York, and even Connecticut. So dangerous rainfall ahead there tomorrow. But notice as we go throughout the weekend, that heat dome becomes much more noticeable across parts of the Midwest, the Mississippi Valley and Ohio Valley. That's where it'll be dry and as well as warm through the weekend. Notice we'll have the jet stream really intensify over the west coast of the United States and as well as back into parts of Canada. And then that trough is located over here. You might be wondering, what is this weather pattern? It's called an omega block weather pattern because it looks like the Greek letter, the omega block. That's what we're looking at here across the United States, and this is something we see very often during the summertime and even sometimes during the fall. So it is something that we do have sometimes during the fall months. Once we go into Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday, notice some big changes will happen. So that high pressure system will start to slowly shift to the east as we go into Monday into Tuesday. The jet stream still dipping off to the west, but into parts of the Rocky Mountains. This could eject over the Rocky Mountains, promoting an increased risk for severe weather as we go later into the week. So possibly by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday across parts of the Great Plains. Now, where does this happen? It's super uncertain. We're really far out. It's too hard to tell really where that will exactly happen because of a lot of factors. But one thing that we do know is that this will likely bring a cool down to a large chunk of the United States, allowing for some of that strong northerly wind coming out of Canada to allow for that wind to go down to the south and essentially bring some cooler weather with that strong northerly wind. And then once we go into next Saturday, that's when things become very uncertain, but it does seem as if we'll probably have a pretty similar weather pattern here throughout the next week, and that means that that strong northerly wind will continue, bringing cooler weather to a large chunk of the United States, especially the northern tier of the country. This would be a very large trough, by the way, so it'll be something to watch out for. Again, things change a lot, especially after, 7 days out, so we'll have to watch this closely and monitor the trends as well very closely. One big thing is the temperature trends, and we're looking at the temperature anomalies here. Again, notice as of right now, this is today and tomorrow, temperatures will be well above average for a large chunk of the country. That's anywhere in that red shaded area. Only exception really is the Pacific Northwest. Once we go into Saturday into Sunday, that continues. It really ramps up as we go into Monday, though. Notice this area here. This is where we'll be watching for record-breaking high temperatures across the upper Midwest and as well as southern Canada, while cooler weather ushers into parts of California and Nevada. So nice weather there. Once we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that heat starts to move out. That's when we get that trough moving in, and that could create some strong northerly winds, bring some cooler weather out of Canada, and that would really be a beneficiary for a large chunk chunk of the United States. By Saturday, again, things become very uncertain by this point, but there is a good chance that we're looking at some sort of cool down. How large will that cool down be? How effective will it be? How far will the temperatures go down? Those are all question marks right now, but I think it's a good time to pop out those champagne bottles because there'll be a good chance here of some nice cooler weather, at least if you're looking forward to that. In terms of the temperatures over the next several days, it's a little bit of a loop, so notice by Tuesday of this week, or Monday night into Tuesday, we're looking at high temperatures in the 90s across the Great Plains. Notice off to the north, that's where we'll be watching for that cool down. It'll be very, very slow, it seems like, as we go into Wednesday into Thursday, but by Friday of next week, we might get a stronger push of cooler air. This is the high temperatures going into late Friday. Notice the temperatures in the upper Midwest and even back into the northern plains. Some areas in the 40s up there, so that's a possibility, but again, it could very well be higher or lower than that. It's a very large range right now because there's so much uncertainty this far out. Notice the high temperatures, though, in the southern tier of the United States. That would be crazy if we got down to the 70s for some areas, even in Florida. That's just wild. Obviously, more typical for this time of the year, but really, it's going to be a big thing to watch for, because if this does end up happening, we're talking about some really nice weather across the United States as we go into the late first week of October, and as well as into the second week of October. Now, for the future radar, we're going to be watching a couple areas in particular. Really, across the East Coast is where most of the activity lies right now. That won't last much longer, though, because once we go into the weekend, we're going to start to see that activity really move off coast. It's going to be very dry across a large chunk of the United States, from the southern plains back into the Northeast. By next week, that's when things become uncertain, but we might start to see some severe weather ramp up across the Great Plains. Now, again, where does this happen? Where will it be intense? How high of the threat will it be? It's very uncertain. Again, there's no reason to panic right now, but it is something to watch out for as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, maybe even Friday as well. By Saturday into Sunday, again, things become uncertain by this point, but it does look as if we'll probably have a pretty good cool down for at least the upper Midwest and the northern plains. Could that go further down to the south? It's entirely possible, but again, I've mentioned the word 90 times in this forecast. It is uncertain. Now, here's the overall long-term forecast across the United States for both temperatures and precipitation, and we'll begin with the temperatures. As of right now, the Climate Prediction Center is forecasting that we'll have above average temperatures, or at least it's likely that we'll have above average temperatures from the Great Plains back to the eastern tier of the United States, from the Northeast back into the southeast United States, the highest probability in parts of New England. This is from, again, Wednesday the 4th until October 8th, so that's Sunday. And then for the western tier of the United States, it's a bit more uncertain what we'll see. It's pretty much an equal chance either way of seeing above average or below average temperatures as of right now. For precipitation, the southern plains is where we'll be watching for an area of above average precipitation, which ranges from the 4th, which is again Wednesday, until the 8th, which is Sunday. And then also for the upper Midwest in the same category there. And then the western tier of the United States is where we'll likely be looking at below average precipitation for that exact same time frame. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.